What is going on to all my hobbits, elves, and goblins out there? It is your boy, your man, Stooksy Camels, without you. Back at it with another review. And since Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, is coming out this weekend, I decided, why not do a review series of all the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies building up to that specific film, and also building up to a ranking to rank all of them, including the new movie from the worst to the best. But before we get sexual, beginning of the video, what's up, guys? Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe help with YouTube algorithm, recommend it to more people, and maybe they could join that toxic. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on this movie down below. And today, ladies and gentlemen, originally, I was going to review the live-action Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies, but I went, why not? Let's add some variety. So I went and found out that there were actually 3 Hobbit and Lord of the Rings animated movies I had never seen before, and I decided let's watch those too. So today we are kicking things off with this review series with a review of the original 1976 Hobbit. I forgot what year it came out. And before we get into actual review, let's give a quick plot synopsis, shall we? So transition and choose, Sammy, yeah.
An animated adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's tale of the adventures of a hobbit on a quest to regain Dwarf King's gold.
Alright, so going into this one, I was actually a little bit intrigued by it because, oh, also, don't mind this. This is supposed to be like a cloak from Lord of the Rings, so that's why I have this right here. And then also, I usually wear my hat, but I decided, this kind of looks like Hobbit hair, so I'm going to wear this. Unfortunately, I do not have a ring, though. Hopefully, I'll get that for the next review tomorrow, or one of the next reviews. And going into this one, I was a little excited for it, to be honest, because, the Transformers 80s animated movie that I had never seen before watching that, how do I say it? The 80s Transformers animated movie, when I was getting ready to watch that, I was actually quite excited for it, and I actually ended up really enjoying that animated movie. I was going, is this going to be on the same lines of the Transformers 80s animated movie? Well, let's just find out. And starting things off with the good, we always start off with the good here. I have the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack in it is very nostalgic, and it is mostly as the story goes along for this animated movie, the soundtrack, they use songs to keep the story going, which I found myself bobbing my head a little bit to the songs, like, throughout the whole entire movie, so I thought that pretty decent songs in here. Also, another good, the Bilbo's character arc in here, I think, especially for the time, Bilbo's arc still holds up, because though most of the other animated movies, besides Disney, really didn't have that great arcs for characters, but Disney and this, I would say, are really good, compelling arcs for younglings. And you did a really good job at building up his character. And the final good, I'm going to go the Gollum scene. I also, it's intriguing to look back on the old animated movies, because I never knew what Gollum really looked like in the old animated movies. So seeing this brand new sort of version of Gollum, I was kind of going, okay, that is a little bit different. And I see that the live action movies definitely went for a more distinct and gross look. So, and of course, I'm pretty sure that most of us have seen the live action ones more than the animated ones, because everyone in, literally, if they're a cinephile, they all know the distinct Gollum voice, like, my presence, no, that was terrible. But all of us know that iconic thing. So to look back on this and see what Gollum originally looked like in the animated movie, I thought it was interesting, and an interesting design for the character. So, yeah. Alright, now we move on to the mixed aspects of the film, the parts of the film that I'm not so sure about. And number one, the biggest mixed aspect I have is the animation. It's kind of like what I said with the soundtrack. It is kind of nostalgic in a sense to go back to this. However, though, it also, you can tell in the animation too, it is quite dated. Even more so than the Transformers 80s animated movie. It might be a little bit equals, but it has a nostalgic taste, sure, but it's just overall not great animation looking back on it. It might be great for the time, but it's not good compared to like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or whatever, which I never compare it to that, but still. Another mix I have is the voice acting in here, which, another thing that's kind of dated.
For some particular voice acting performances, where they have that old, like, grainy voice to them as the movie goes along, where it's kind of, you can tell it's old school, and it's not as clear as nowadays animation. But there are some exceptions.
With that comes the dialogue. I'm not so sure about the dialogue. It might add up a little bit to the voice acting with what the things are being said back in the day, so yeah. And another mix, the final act. The final act kind of goes by really quick compared to the live action movies. But I think I overall kind of liked that, and I liked the way the movie left off on. However, it is a little quick, and I wish we had a little tiny bit more to chew on in that final battle sequence. Now we unfortunately move on to the bad. And starting off with number one, how dialogue is being said as the journey continues as well. So along with the music as well, which I actually enjoyed that aspect, you also have dialogue being said as the journey goes along, like, oh, we went across the galloping rivers, or something like on the lines of that. And I didn't think it worked with the things that it was being said here, unfortunately. It didn't really quite work for me. Also, not enough Gandalf. I mean, to be fair, Gandalf doesn't really pop up in the live action one that much at the end of the battle, or in the movie, so I might take that out. I don't know. As I said before, it hasn't aged well, so we already talked about that. And another bad, the movie's pacing. This movie, by the way, is an hour and I think almost 20 minutes long. It's a pretty short movie, but the pacing is pretty bad for the how long the movie is. So in my personal taste, and I felt myself kind of bored a couple of times throughout the movies. Like the couple of scenes that kind of kept me entertained was the Gollum sequence and the spider sequence. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, that is just my thoughts on this movie. Just keep in mind, this was a first time watch. I'd never watched this before. So, having watched this, I might say, if I rewatch this again down the line when the new Gollum movie comes out, the new Lord of the Rings movie with Gollum, I might enjoy this one a little bit more, or I might like it a little bit less. I don't know. But as of right now, currently, I think it was just okay. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was really good either. So let's bring out the toxic meter. And for me personally, I'm going to give it a C+, toxic disappointment. It's not a bad movie. It's just, yeah, I think if I grew up with this one, I might have a little bit more nostalgia for it. But I only grew up on the live action movies. So there's that. But as I said before, that is just my thoughts on this animated movie. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. And with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Peace.